an emerging economy with close to 63.4 million small and medium businesses employing 460 million people. About 30% of India's GDP comes from them. But to set up a business, one of the most important things apart from a great idea is money. There are companies who bootstrap their business or get funds from friends and family, and some opt for equity financing while some opt for government grants. Today, in Startup Buzz, we will try and decode equity financing and government grants so you can make an informed decision. Let's start with equity financing. Here, once a chunk of share is sold off, the buyer becomes a part in the company for that percentage. There are different ways of how equity works and how funds can be raised through equities. There is an IPO or initial public offering which happens at a very large scale. As a part of IPO, private companies offer shares to the general public at a pre-decided price in a new stock insurance. Through public share issuance, companies raise capital from public investors. Once the shares are bought, the public can make money or lose money, depending on how well the company is doing in the market. There are two kinds of equity: the private placement of stock with investors and public stock offerings. In case the company no longer wants its shares with others, it can get them back by purchasing them from those who hold the shares, which can be an expensive affair. This process is called a buyout. Equity can be raised several times during the span of the business. This kind of financing is always regulated by the government rules to ensure that no malpractice takes place and buyers are not duped in the process. This was about equity. Now let's talk about government grants. As the name suggests, the money here comes from the government directly, and the amount comes from taxpayers' money. And the grants can come for a variety of projects, so as long as the government is convinced that the project is beneficial for the society. In this form of payment, the government is not looking to get the money back in cash, but rather in kind, where the project itself is useful for the people at large. You have to understand that a grant is not a loan, which means that there is no interest involved either. There is no concept of revenue sharing or allocating equity. Government grants have to be applied for. Oftentimes, the government will release ads and tenders for such grants. People apply for them via official platforms after filling out a standard form requiring all the details about the project. Getting a government grant brings a lot of credibility to the organizations and opens the door for many such future prospects of getting funded. There are essentially three criteria that the organizations consider before deciding on equity or grants: source of funding that is easily accessible for the company, cash flow of the company, and if the owners want to retain the entire control of the company to themselves. Government grants have their own advantage because one can also avail government resources during the conceptual level and execution level. Government does a thorough background check before they release a single penny, which means once you get the grant, you are most likely to receive other grants rather easily. There is no guarantee that your company will get the government grant for sure if you are applying for one, unless you meet all the criteria. Similarly, raising funds via equity financing is not always easy either. But now that we have shared a few pointers on both these funding processes, you can decide what works for you. Kindly let us know if this video was helpful for you, and do share your thoughts with us on what are the other things you would like to know about in the coming videos of Startup Buzz.